Hey, welcome to the process. My name is Dr. John Bush. This is lesson 92, positional targets part 9. We're going to go through all 32 teams, next two lessons, 16 this lesson, 16 next. This is all designed to help you win your fantasy football drafts. Pretty much gives you a great shot at winning your league. Certainly, if you lose your draft, you're going to be behind the curve the whole entire season. And if you do about 40 or 50 leagues like I do, that's not so good. You like to be ahead, not behind, right? You want to lead the pack, not behind the pack. So, with that said, you know me, I can't do things the same way. So I added some different metrics in here when we look at 2020 targets and estimated 2021. Let me go through it here. We'll start with Arizona. And in the yellow highlight was the 2020 targets, the player, of course, the team position, and the total targets was 375 here. And the end of the season, the structure was a clear one. That was Hopkins, and then a 2A and a 2B. So Kurt and Fitzgerald were pretty much uh, the second wide receiver. There was no clear second wide receiver. I guess you can say it that way. So looking in this column, this is 2021, looking at ADPs and using that as a way to estimate targets. Again, the reason I do this is to have something as a foundation to start my research. This is not the end. This is just the beginning. This gives us a feel for what the public's going to be thinking, and that's how they should be drafting on average, right? I know every draft is different, but when you do a lot like I do, you know, that's the whole point of the average, right? Is pretty much across the board you start getting these trends, these tendencies here. And so I give you, based on this information, what the structure is predicted to be for 2021. Hopkins is the one, but now the public says that there's three wide receiver two types. They can't pick it. Okay, they cannot pick who's who and what's what. It's amazing to see AJ Green in his journey, and this is where he's at in the mix with a bunch of other Curtin and Moore here. So that's what's thinking here. And of course, Hopkins is one of your top uh, targets for this year. At least the public thinks so. I pretty much have drafted him at the appropriate time. You know, certainly wouldn't reach for him, but you know, if he falls a little late, then I will certainly take him. They're thinking 157 targets. That's nice. That's nice. And at the end of the next lesson, I'm going to give you a list of all the predicted targets from high to low so we can kind of think about the public in their head, the tiers that they're thinking, you know. Certainly injuries change this, right? So if AJ Green gets hurt, then that should put more targets to Kurt and more, et cetera, et cetera. If Hopkins got hurt, this structure would tend to say Kurt takes over barely, but it's going to be a scrum at that point. So you can kind of think about it injury scenario looking at these predicted patterns here in case something happens between now and week one. So it just gives you a good idea of what's going on. So I really like this as a tool to consider my draft. So right now, not really targeting any of these 2A, B, or C, just they're on my screen just thinking about them, but until something dramatic happens like an injury, I'm not really, I think I'm going elsewhere, I guess, and picking up some deeper wide receivers. Here is Atlanta. So for 2020, they had Julio there, and the structure was 1, 2, 3. And notice Julio was 3 because of injury. So it was Ridley, clear 1, Gage, clear 2, and Jones, clear 3. And some of the other players, Amaldi, Lambda, Zacchaeus. I can't pronounce. My bad. Uh, and he had 32, so he would have been the 4. So Julio's gone, right? So Julio's gone. So you would predict that Zacchaeus goes into the 3rd slot, and that's what is predicted as well. And in best ball, he's a free square. So I'm taking him as a free square. Ridley is 238. Remember, Hopkins was 157. Oh my goodness. So Ridley, the public should be taking him way before Hopkins here. Gage at 134. So Gage is almost what D-Hop was, right? So just be aware. I think Gage has a lot of value. And the public is saying Zacchaeus is 25. So I'm still taking him as a free square, a good injury handcuff. I don't know if Gage and Ridley can get all those targets. That's a lot of work. So I think the public may be off on Zacchaeus some. But anyway, just be aware of that. And that's Atlanta. Baltimore. Uh, Baltimore last year, 2020, was a 1 and in the 2A, B, and C, so they couldn't pick the second choice. And the second choice was not great. And the first choice was only 100 targets. Oh my goodness. So think about it. Gage was even, he did better than that. So not so good. For this year, they're thinking 1, 2A, 2B. And Bateman has recent injuries since I've did this data. So it's very possible, I hate to say this, but Watkins could be a clear 2. But when I say that, uh, he's maybe 75, 80, and Brown maybe get, maybe 110, 100. Yeah, so even with Bateman gone, there's not a lot of targets available. So Baltimore is just not a passing team and not even close. So just be aware of that. And I think the public is key on that as well. But they definitely see Brown as 1, and if Bateman can't go, then it would be Watkins as the 2. Certainly Bateman might show up later in the season here. Buffalo last year was a clear 1, a clear 2 was Beasley, and then 3A, 3B, that was Davis and Brown. Brown is gone, so does that mean Davis collects some, and then, or does McKenzie collect some? Well, he's not even there. So what they got now is Sanders comes in. So now they're predicting a 1, a 2, and a 3A and a 3B. Beasley is predicted at 98. Diggs is at 179. So Ridley still predicted to get more than Diggs. So just be aware of that. Beasley, I've been laying off of him because of his vaccination things. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. That concerns me. So Davis and Sanders might it might be a scrum, it might be a 2A, B, and C there really. So I mean that's the structure by the public, but it could be a scrum for the second choice, and that could cut everybody's targets in here. So I think for sure Diggs is the clear one, but it's muddled with the other ones. Uh, so just be aware of that, and they're below 100 targets, even close to 75 targets. Carolina last year was a 1, a 2A, and a 2B. That was Samuel, Moore, and Anderson. Samuel's gone to Washington. So that leaves Moore, and right now they got the young rookie Marshall. So the prediction is 1A, 1B, and 3. They're thinking Marshall gets close to 60 targets here. He's a late round pick. Who knows? He's could be a good injury handcuff. Okay. He might be a spot play, so he's definitely in the mix for me as a wide receiver 3 type for a lot of reasons there. But Moore and Anderson, the public's seen them pretty much at around 150, 160, which is not bad. That's close to Diggs level. So that's certainly I'm grabbing either one. Anderson's a little cost you a little less in draft capital than Moore, so he may be the default play there just because you can get him later. This is Chicago. Last year it was a 1-2-3 kind of play. It was a Robinson, Mooney, and Miller. Miller is gone, so this year they're thinking it's a 1-2-3, and Miller. Yeah, they traded Miller to Houston. So this I made this, you know, a while ago. So I think we got a clear one, a clear two, and it is unclear who the third will be. Mooney is worth a pick at 118. Robinson 190 is a clear wide receiver 1 types. I'm happy with both. Mooney may be the play. He just getting a lot of talk on Twitter, so I hate when everybody talks somebody. It may cost you more in draft capital to grab him as your wide receiver 2, 3, probably 3-4 type if you can wait that long. Okay. So this is Cincinnati. Last year was a 1A, 2, I'm sorry, 1A, 1B, 1C, so they couldn't pick it out. Boyd, Higgins, Green was pretty much the same player. Green has gone to Arizona, so that leaves us now with Boyd, Higgins, and Jamar Chase as the rookie. People are thinking he's now a 1B type. And so the public says they're pretty much the same player here. So it is interesting that Cincinnati would end up with the same predicted structure as what their real structure was in 2020. So I guess Boyd, if he cost you less than the other two, may be worth a play. Chase, I think uncertainty's a little too much there, so I think Higgins, the uncertainty's the less uncertainty. Boyd, maybe you get him a little later. So you just need to decide how you want to play that here. We're not talking dynasty, just redraft here. So I think you could do okay with either one of the three, but Boyd may cost you less, and I would be a little concerned about the uncertainty level here. This is the safe play there, Higgins. Okay, Cleveland was a 1, 2A, 2B, so Landry and Higgins and Beckham with injuries. This year they say Beckham comes back and is the same player as Landry, and Higgins is the distant third. So this is about 100 targets for each one of those. I think Landry may be cheaper than Beckham. I think I'll take Landry over Beckham just because less draft capital to expend to get the same number of targets there. And I think that'll be it for me. Okay. I will not get too deep into the other ones right now, unless an injury or something happens. Okay. Dallas, last year without Dak, it was 1, 2A, 2B. So it was Cooper and then Lamb, Gallup. This year, the public says it's a 1A, 1B, and then they're saying Gallup doesn't progress. He stays the same, but Lamb picks it up. Cooper's had some injury issues, so Lamb and Cooper are fighting pretty much the same ADP, pretty close. I guess I would take either one at this point. Obviously, I think safety-wise, Lamb is the better pick. Gallup's a nice free square in best ball late, and does a good injury handicap handcuff, and maybe worth stashing away. So Gallup is definitely should be on your radar, and just because of the cheapness of the draft capital there. Denver, last year they were a 1, a 2, a 3A, 3B. So that was Judy, Patrick, and then Hammer and Hamilton. Sutton got hurt. This year they're saying Sutton and Judy are a 1A, 1B. I think Patrick and Hammer fight over the scraps at a 3A, 3B. So they're saying Sutton and Judy are the same player. Judy probably less draft capital. So he may be the play just because he's cheaper. But that's just, I would be satisfied with either. But just be aware of how the public is seeing this. Detroit, lots of changes going on. Last year it was a 1, a 2, and a 3B, A, B, and C. So they couldn't pick out who was the next player. So it was Jones, Amendola, Cephas, Hall, Galladay, Agnew. Galladay's gone. Marvin Jones is gone. So who's left? Basically, it's all new players except for Amendola, Cephas. People are sleeping on Amendola. He could get more targets than 7, but he may not even make the team, so maybe that's what they're thinking. Perriman seems like almost a free square in best ball and predicted at 116. He's worth a play. He's a nice late pick, wide receiver 5. Take him all day. Amon-Ra, he's a rookie. Don't know what we're going to get, but there's nobody else really. Tyler Williams did make a splash. What was he, the Chargers? At 51, though, the public's saying not much of a splash this year, so they think the rookie takes him. So I think Perriman is the safe play there, but I could see a stab in a deep bench, Brown or Williams. And Cephas, just be aware at some times he did show flash. So he just kind of put him on your speed dial. If there's an injury or something, he could move up the ranks. Green Bay, Rodgers is back. It was a clear one, 3A and 3B. They couldn't decide who was the number 2. So they gave, basically, there was no number 2. I know that. So for me, when nobody's even close to Adams, you can't call MVS and Lazard as a 2 because 60 and 46, come on, they're 3 types. So they didn't have a 2. So this year they're thinking it's the same thing, the same structure. The public like Lazard over MVS. I probably flip it the other way just because MVS is cheap. It's a handicap. I'm sorry, a handcuff kind of injury thing. I would pick Lazard or that. Amy Rogers did get some splash as a rookie. Who knows? He might surprise later in the season. He could catch fire and pass both those guys. So if Adams were to get injured, I think it's Scramble City, and any of those could be worth your pick because Rogers got to throw to somebody. So just watch Adams, be prepared for any injury, and just make sure you know where Lazard, Scantling, and Rogers are, especially Rogers, likely to be on the waiver wire uh, in a shallow league, maybe even in a deep league. Okay. So Adams is predicted to be the first choice, but Ridley is predicted to have more targets. Just wanted to let you know. And let's see, I hit. Let's try Indianapolis. Lots of things happening. Injuries. What's going on? Who's the quarterback? I don't know. Do you know? I don't know. So it was clear 1, 2A, 2B. So basically they were pretty close to the same. Hilton, Pascal, and Pittman. 278 targets, not bad. So there's worth your play. But this year the public says there is no clear 1 or 2 or 3. They're all the same. So they think Pittman is ahead of Hilton, is ahead of Paris Campbell. And Pascal, they just throw him back at 26. Uh, I think he's a good free square and best ball. He could surprise. I'm probably Pittman's fine, but still 94 targets. They're wide receiver 4 types for me. Hilton may be cheaper and could get the same. So I know people are squawking about Pittman, but I don't know what's going on with the quarterback. I think the uncertainty level is pretty high there. Hilton is the safe pick. It's just you're not going to get a lot regardless. It's definitely wide receiver 4 types in all those. Jacksonville, lots of things happening last year. They couldn't figure out anybody. So there was 4 players pretty much together here. Shark, Cole, Chenault, Conley. This year they got 3 players they can't pick. Shark, Chenault, and Jones. To me, Jones is the cheapest play and may be worth your pickup as a deep wide receiver 4 or 5, but could pay off for you as an injury handcuff. I don't know. I'm not sure the rookie quarterback. I don't know what's going to go on. That's the thing. There's a lot of expectations there for the quarterback, and to me, this whole crew is uncertain. But I guess Jones is the cheapest, so I might pick him up. Go looking for him if he drops too far. But I'm letting others grab some of the other ones. I'm a little cautious in here. Kansas City last year they had a clear 1 and they didn't have a 2. They just had a bunch of 3s. So Hill and then Hardman, Robinson, Watkins. Watkins is gone. And now they predict it's a 1-2. Hill and Hardman. Hill is 207, so he's pretty close to being the top dog there. I know people are picking Adams. I think Hardman's might be worth your play as a wide receiver 4 type, wide receiver 3, just because he can pick up 100 targets. Just not sure how it's going to go here. Definitely for sure, Hill is a solid play. And Hardman is yeah, I'd pick him up. Best ball and maybe a deep, wide receiver 3-4 type. But I just he's just kind of he got a 62 last year. With Kelsey there, and he's to me, even though he's predicted to be a 2 on the team, not in the league, I'm thinking he's a 3-4 type. Okay, that's the first 16. I hope you had fun. This is fun for me. I gave you my quick hit, seeing what the public's thinking. It's good to know what the public's thinking here. So hopefully it gives you something to start your research on. And I hope I gave you some nuggets to help you crush your league. Come back, we'll do the next 16 teams as far as wide receivers. Woo woo, we're having fun.